Marcus.
Hey, how you
Thank you so
doing?
much. Well, how are you doing?
Good,
Thank
good, good.
you so much for joining us. We have so much to chat about. We have a lot of questions roll in, so we're so excited. Um, but I want to start off with one. Welcome, I think, back to Chicago because I saw on your bio that you did some stuff with Chicago PD. So I have to assume that you.
Yeah, yeah. I did an episode of Chicago PD. I don't even remember what season it was. I think it was back in like maybe 2017. Long time ago. A lot less gray.
Have you spent prolonged Chicago, or is this your first stint where you're spent?
No, actually, yeah, this is my first time like spending an extended period amount of time in Chicago, and we're just loving. I am loving it. Just being able to, go out and try all the restaurants. Well, not all of them as much as I'd like, but just check out the new neighborhoods and acquaint myself with different places that I've never been. So I'm loving it. Chicago's great.
Absolutely. Is there something that you need to do in every new city that you're in?
Well, I usually like to find, the restaurants and, the speakeasies where, the cocktails are good and but I do like to find like historical aspects of different cities. A lot of the cities that we've been to on tour, we've been to like, you know, uh, historically relevant cities that help shape our country, and so there's a lot of history. There's a lot of, I did the architectural boat tour, so I got a chance to learn more about the Chicago fire and all the architecture of the city and how like it's weird. Like when I first got to Chicago, I had a hard time kind of getting my bearings and figuring out which way was north, south, east, and west. And once I did the boat tour, I just had this whole nother, you know, point of view on like directionally on the city. So I feel like that really helped my situation.
Totally. Well, we so much to chat about, but I want to start at the beginning of your acting career. And specifically, we had a question come in that asks, did you do theater in high school? And if so, what was your favorite role?
I did do theater in high school, and that's kind of where my love for performing really began. Um, God, I would say my favorite role was probably oof, uh, my junior year we did Guys and Dolls, and I got to play Sky Masterson, which was a lot of fun, because you get to sing and dance and the gambler's number or the crap number and then my senior year we did a musical called Sugar, which was based on a movie called Some Like It Hot. So it was so cool to see, them revive the show and bring it back to Broadway with its, original title or the title of the movie, I should say. Because I don't know which came first. I don't know if the movie was adapted from the show or if the show was adapted from the movie. Usually it's the show and then the movie comes after. Anyway, yeah, I played one of the two girls, and it was my parents were just like wondering what is going on with my son's life that he wants to pursue theater where he has to dress up in drag. Like, Mom, it's just a role. It's just for fun, It's all make believe. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but when you're 17 years old in high school and your parents are first generation immigrants, they're just like, what is going on?
Was being an actor always the goal for you, or do you have other careers in mind?
Um, in all honesty, I got lucky. I knew what I wanted to do and I just did it. Um, I think my parents had other thoughts in mind and other plans and hopes and dreams that I squashed and squandered. No, but I think growing up Asian American or Korean American in particular, I think one of the challenges for immigrant parents is that they just don't know, the landscape of entertainment in America. I know it was certainly something that I had to figure out and learn as well. But when you are new to a country and your child does wants to pursue something that they don't feel like they can help or assist in any way, um, it was scary for them, you know. But for me, I was fortunate because I just knew that it was something that I excelled at. I played sports growing up, and I had a great time playing, football and ran track and played volleyball and being on stage and learning choreography and adapting, um, characters and learning scripts and breaking down scenes, like all that came really, really, I guess, naturally to me because I was so curious and so interested in it, and I had a passion for it, and so I knew that it was just something that I wanted to do, um, and it's funny, all the way up until I think I was 25 or 26. Um, I debuted my second Broadway show in the original company of Wicked. And I flew my parents out. They came to see the show. They had great seats. I put them up in a hotel right in Midtown, and I just wanted to like show them a great time, and I just so when they came to the show, I took them backstage, and I was like, "So, Mom, Dad, what'd you think? Did you enjoy the show?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was okay." I'm like, "Well, I hope you understand, like, as far as musicals go, as far as like my business goes, this is pretty big." Sorry, my dog is right here. This is pretty big, and it's a big step in my career, and and they're just like, when are you going back to school? Because I didn't finish college. And school was kind of like their whole, MO. But for me, I never stopped taking class. I never stopped training. I just feel like, being a student of life and continuing to evolve and progress in your art is really important. And so I just told them I kind of had a come to Jesus moment with my parents. I said, you guys have to understand, I'm not going back to school because I'm doing what I want to do in the career that I've chosen. And I'm sitting next to people in my dressing room who have gone to school and who are in student debt. And I'm not going to take on that debt just to, satisfy you guys. You know what I mean? So um, I asked them, just trust me. This is something that I've always done and that I'm always going to do. Um, and so, yeah, ever since then, they're just like, okay, I guess we have no choice. I was an adult by that time and, out of the house. I'd been out of the house for, geez, like 6, 7 years up until that point, and yeah, yeah. So I was lucky. Long-winded answer to get to the point is saying, I've always wanted to do this.
No, that is so great. And I do want to get to more of your career, but I first want to touch on your Korean heritage. And, scrolling through your Instagram, it's so evident that you are a strong voice for other AAPI people and creators. And I would love to know if you've always embraced your Korean heritage.
Um, yeah, I'd like to say yes, and I think, um, certainly when I was younger and coming into my own, it was always kind of, um, you know, maybe I don't know if I should go so far as to say a point of contention, just because, I grew up in California in Orange County, which is, in the 80s and 90s was, very white, and luckily, it became very diverse. Well, LA is just very diverse, right? And so, um, getting to the point where I understood my heritage and embraced my heritage, um, wasn't it wasn't difficult for me because I had a lot of support from friends who were Korean, or I grew up with a lot of Filipinos and Chinese and Japanese and Vietnamese, and we all just got along and embraced each other's cultures. And I think most importantly, it was done through food. You know what I mean? And California has some of the most authentic, diverse, restaurants, and I think that's one of the ways that we really kind of embraced, or that I really embraced the culture, was through food and my friends, and growing up, I didn't know. Well, I knew that it was going to be difficult, um, but as an Asian American, I had a hard time, um, kind of like feeling like there was a place for me, you know. um, until when I was in high school, until I went to go see the first national tour of Miss Saigon. And at that time, I had never seen a show with a predominantly Asian cast, and I had the opportunity to see myself on stage through them, to make the realization, like, there is a place for me. You know what I mean? Like, they did it, so I certainly can, and that just kind of gave me more, uh, you know, enthusiasm and energy towards, really kind of pursuing it. And I think, this opportunity to do Hamilton in particular as an Asian American lead in the show, I think is so important. Probably one of the main reasons why I've stayed with the show for so long is because this tour has gone all over the country, and we've gone to so many cities and communities that, um, you know, that, that are not as diverse. And so when Asian American kids come to see the show, um, I'm thankful that I'm able to provide that same sentiment, that same feeling that I got so many years ago, you know what I mean? Because, when they're able to see themselves portrayed in a show like Hamilton, that's not just an Asian show, you know what I mean? Um, that it gives them ownership of of their art and this business, and I think it's so important, to kind of carry on that legacy, so to speak. And like, I know that as I get older, there's a whole new generation of artists coming in, and we have to do, as somebody who has been in this industry for so long, over 20 years, God, almost 25 years. It's my responsibility to help usher that in, that new movement, that new energy, that generation. So yeah.
Do you get a certain feeling when you're on stage and, digging more into an Asian actor portraying George Washington, who is a white person in our history, and specifically the line, immigrants, we get the job done, and your parents are immigrants. And so, can you tell me a little bit more about what that feeling is?
Um, it just kind of I mean, it's a great feeling, first of all. I think Lynn and the creative team just did such a good job of capturing what they say is the American story told by America now, right? And it's a sense of pride, because no matter how you look at it, America is diverse, and we are a country of immigrants. And I think that's, one of the most beautiful things about this country, and how it's, you know, created such an incredible landscape on the world stage, and yeah, it's certainly a sense of pride, especially when, like, you hear the line, and, like, it's almost given when people in the audience just start cheering, because, I think everybody kind of connects with that, in one way.
Absolutely. Well, but Hamilton, you touched on, you were part of the Wicked original Broadway cast, and looking at your bio, like you've done a lot of original Broadway cast productions, being part of a show from the ground up, and now I mean, you're going on, I believe, your sixth year with Hamilton. Is that correct?
I think so, including pandemic.
Somewhere in there.
Yes. including Pennant. So we had like a little 18-month break,
You know,
just some time off.
going from that mindset of developing a character from scratch versus joining a show that is this phenomenon and so many people are just familiar with the original Broadway cast that was already established.
Sure.
Did you have time to developing your own George Washington, or did that take some time for you?
Yeah, great question. It's the thing that I love about Hamilton is that when we were in rehearsals, there was never an expectation to copy or recreate what the original company had done. Sure, the movements are the same, and the intent behind the movement is the same. Where you have to stand, technically, for the lighting and for blocking and all that, it is the same. But they know that it's impossible for anybody to try to recreate what somebody else did. And so the only way for us to be performers and actors that we are is that they gave us the freedom to explore. They gave us the choice to create scenes and blocking or scene work that in our relationships that made sense to us within the parameters of, okay, so this is what's happening, this is what we need to tell, this is what we need to say, this is your relationship, and so we would go beat by beat from moment to moment and figure out what it meant to us and not try to say the same thing that Chris Jackson did, or deliver in the same way. Now, naturally, sometimes it ends up being the same because he's such an incredible performer and his choices are great and, things that you connect with. I think it's just kind of like by default, right? Because we all downloaded the album first, right? And myself, along with millions of other people, geeked out on it hard. I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard, right? And so when I actually got to see it, it was just like the floodgates open, and I was just like mind blowing, and just emotional the whole time. And this is incredible. And so having the chance and the opportunity to do the show, it was just so great to be able to have had that experience of seeing the original company and understanding the essence of what they were doing, and then being able to create your own version of that and having the freedom of doing that. It was an incredible experience. And of course, after doing it for so long, I'm going on almost like 1,800 performances. Well, the Philip Company is almost at 1,800 performances. I'm probably somewhere in the 17s, which is a lot. And in order for it to feel fresh and new and in the moment, it's you have to play. It's literally called a play. You have to play. You have to uh, dig and discover and try things. And the beautiful thing about the show is that if you try something, it doesn't work, you always have tomorrow, right? And so I think they just they did such a service to all the new people that they hired to do the show in all of their companies, to give them the freedom to explore and discover it for themselves.
Mhm. Well, I can't think of a better way to end this interview. Marcus, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. We are so grateful. And
Thank
I feel
you.
like what you just said is just proof that, like, for those of you who are sitting at home and are thinking, like, okay, do I buy tickets? Do I not watch it on Disney Plus? You can, or you can come and see it here in person, be in the literal room where it happens, and see this incredible cast with a slightly different interpretation of the work in the best way ever, in the best way. So come out.
There's the lottery tickets. You can go on the app. You can go on the Hamilton musical app, download it for free. You can enter the lottery every day, and you can get lottery tickets for $10 each, up to 2 tickets. So $20 for you and a friend to come see the show in the first 2 rows. You know what I mean? Doesn't get any better than that. And we also have rush tickets. day of, same, day of tickets. And there's nothing better than, like, yes, just like you said, you can go and see it on Disney Plus, but there's no way that you can recreate the live experience. It's impossible, you know. And certainly when you come to the theater, the beautiful Nederlander Theater, and you sit in the space and you feel, you hear, you feel, you see, you just, it's the experience is, you just can't match it. You know what I mean? Um, so do yourself a service. Go get tickets. Uh, Treat yourself this holiday and come see Hamilton and see this incredible cast while we're still here, because there are some forces on stage to be reckoned with, and it's an incredible energy. We have really, really great new company members, and it's an incredible cast right now. Like, and I've been through a few of them, and it's a great energy, and you can feel that on stage.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here. Lottery details and our $49 rush, all those details can be found at broadwayinchicago.com. End the year with Hamilton, and you can start it too, because they are here until the end of January.
That's
So
right.
come in the room. It's so spectacular. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you, Anna.
thank you so much.
All right. All right. Bye, guys.